We started drafting all the way back in January or February because we are a bunch of degenerates, of course. We drafted through the regular season. We are headed through that, and we get to the resurrection drafts. And right when the resurrection drafts are done, what do we hit? The playoff draft. So today, Silas and myself are going to hit one last gauntlet together on stream. We might even hit a battle royal afterwards, or maybe before. We'll talk about it. We'll talk some strategy about this second gauntlet. And that's what we're going to do today with myself and Silas. Silas, you might be wondering, did I start talking to myself in my ear because I forgot to mute YouTube? And the answer is yes. So I was thrown off in the middle of my monologue. It happens. But here we are on Friday the 13th. What could possibly go wrong? For me, everything today so far. We've had an interesting day.
It's a great way to start your vacation, right?
Vacation. I have worked for my first 2 days of vacation about 9 or 10 hours, both days already. So good times, but it was expected slightly. Anyways, how has your playoff drafts been going? Have you been crushing a lot? Have you been real selective of what and when you're drafting? What's been your approach for the playoffs?
I've hit like a little bit in each tournament. I luckily got 2 big mittens in, but this
Nice.
Mike Williams news is pretty devastating. I think I have like close to 30%.
Oh,
So not great, but it's fun.
I've been a little more conservative in my playoff approach this offseason, more so than I was last year. I've drafted, I think, 4 of the original gauntlets, and then I think I've done 9 of the gauntlet 2, which isn't my preferred strategy for playoffs. My preferred strategy is to hammer contest right when they open. So the gauntlet right away, because I think you just have a monumental edge. Like if you were projecting Jaguars to make the playoffs like I was, you could have gotten Trevor Lawrence, ETN or Christian Kirk in the 9th, 10th round a lot. You still get them pretty late in the drafts now, but back then it was a little bit easier to offset who you thought might make the playoffs. The counter to that is if you were drafting Chiefs, like they weren't going to be the 1 seed, those teams are probably dead. So there is like a give and take to all of this. What are some of your rules as you're evolving throughout the playoff season?
I just like to give myself multiple outs to a Super Bowl, right? Like you want to be able to think things through, and obviously, the bracket is the bracket. So if teams are going to play each other, don't stack those teams, right?
Right.
So think about who might potentially be able to meet in championship games in the Super Bowl and kind of work your way backwards from there. Because obviously, the structures themselves have changed, but primarily the tournaments have been 1 of 6 this year, which people aren't too happy about. It makes everything a little bit harder. Like you need to basically get your way out of the first round. So, playing to be live there, but also be unique throughout.
How are you approaching teams like the Chiefs and the Eagles? Obviously you have to limit yourself somewhat. Are you trying to do like 3-2 if you're trying to build a Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl, which I'm sure you're not doing too frequently, but when you do it, or even when you play with one of those teams, is there like a certain approach you like?
Yeah, so I've definitely built a couple Chiefs Eagles teams. I'm trying to get 5 of those players. It really depends on which quarterback you get. And if you get Hurts, I'm really only stacking them with probably one other person. And then if you manage to get Kelsey and kind of go backwards from that way, 3 Chiefs, just because their later options are relatively cheap, or the secondary options are cheap. You need to think about the individual games this week and kind of play the rest as like a battle royale feature, because even though you might not have those players moving forward, they need to get you out of round 1.
Right. Yeah. So, and then just have the rest of them take over.
Exactly.
I see that too. Like, so for me, it's been It's been a 3-2. I think earlier today I got like a really lucky draft where I got Mahomes, Kelsey. I think I grabbed one more Chief, maybe two. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I went 2 Eagles. I think I went 3 49ers and then like 2 auxiliary pieces as well for this week. And it just, I wasn't as worried about if I thought they were going to get out, maybe if there was a tiebreaker, if I thought a team was going to get out, more likely to get out of the first round, then yes. But like, it wasn't a go-to for me. See, everything's going wrong today. That's what I'm talking about. Like, this doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. Our backgrounds are acting up, but yeah. So I think today we should fire one of these gauntlets. There's a lot of room left in this. I do think it'll fill, though. I think what's going to happen with this is what happens with every time we see potential overlay. Everyone's going to start tweeting about it. Hey guys, the gauntlet's going to overlay, and then everyone rushes to jam as many teams as they can get in, and oops, it fills, which is fine. I think they need to fill because I think we want to just keep getting the best ball product bigger and bigger. I have no problem with tournaments filling at all, but it's just a recurring theme that I find funny every time I watch one of these that get close. It hasn't happened yet, but I was thinking about it earlier. I'm like, guarantee that they have that start to happen. Terrence has joined us in chat. He says, good afternoon. Hey, fellas. Silas, you're backlit. So you're operating in the shadow realm. Yes, you should have seen Silas before we started the stream. I thought he was from Mortal Kombat. He was that hidden in his picture, but we've gotten it to brighten up a little bit.
My fiance's in the office, so I have to go to our kitchen, which I can tell you is not very well lit. There's really no good lighting in here, so I'm kind of dealing with what I have.
It's fine. We'll work through it. We are going to draft. All right, so we're going to do a gauntlet. We're also going to do a battle royale. Do we want to start with the battle royale just to like get ourselves warmed up before we do the gauntlet? I think that might be the approach today, right?
Yeah, that works. I mean, both are relatively quick. Like, no draft is going to take more than battle royales take usually around like 8-ish minutes, and then the gauntlets and mittens usually take around like 10, 12 minutes. So
yeah. All right. Well,
we got time.
Let's fire this battle royale.
Have you been hitting battle royales? Like, what's your take on the daily contests?
Throughout the season or just right now?
Both.
Oh my God, this is the problem I was worried about. All right.
Let me I can sign in.
I've had this issue frequently lately.
Make sure you're obviously probably a dumb thing. Are your location settings enabled on your computer?
They are. And that's what I was just double checking to confirm. But yeah, I think it's something to do with my router. It's been like I said, I was telling you earlier, I had a big issue last week where I was doing everything on my phone. I sent out a cash game invite and I did it from my laptop. And it's almost like I have a VPN, but I don't have a VPN. So it's been like real crazy lately. But yeah.
You want me to take it?
I might have you take over on this, and if you don't mind, and we'll square up afterwards. Let me just try one more time, make sure it doesn't. Yeah, stupid. Good stuff. Friday the 13th. That's what we're dealing with. That is what we're dealing with.
Make sure mine works. Yeah, it works. All right. Let's decrease that a little bit just so we can see a little bit more. You want it smaller or bigger?
No, that looks fine to me. I'm good with that. Also, I gave it to you on Twitter, but congratulations on shipping one of the tournaments. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. I like to make fun of myself just because I shipped the Pomeranian 2, which was the $3 tournament. And Underdog put out like all of its top prizes, and the Pomeranian 2 was the smallest one. But yeah, I made $5,000. It made my best ball season. Definitely, I was whatever. I had an ROI. I was positive this year, so that was good. It's going to be money towards my wedding, which is great.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now it's free rolling me because I play a lot of these battle royales, so it'll free roll me for quite a bit.
I do like the battle royales just because I'm doing so much content everywhere. I don't fire them like at the volume that other people do.
Yep.
I mean, I just like literally my time commitment right now
Yeah.
between 3 jobs is a little taxing. So when I can fire them, I do. So I might have like 5 or 10 in during a week. I reduced a little bit over the past couple weeks, and I haven't really thought about them too much for the playoffs. I think I
Mhm.
fired 1 or 2 for this weekend, if that at all, to be completely honest.
I think I'm
But yeah.
currently at 40, but usually I'm around 20, 25.
Mhm.
I think they're definitely fun, and they're a fun way to think through each slate.
Yeah,
Underdog's definitely been more profitable for me than DraftKings and FanDuel this year. That's for sure.
I really I haven't like hit hard, but I've had a decent year on some of like the spies and double spies, just like
Mm.
maintaining balances and making back some money. So we got the 6th spot. We are on the clock. I see Stefan Diggs there, which I really don't know how we don't take Stefan Diggs, but talk me through it. Where would you be looking to for these 2 picks?
So what I've kind of seen is the wide receiver and tight end positions are relatively deep in these.
Hmm.
Quarterback is not so much. So without stacking one of his partners is hard. I like to try and grab one of the running backs just because projectable volume and they're pretty insane.
Hmm.
But I do like Diggs. So Diggs any even week can give you 25. So I'd be looking at either Diggs in Barkley or playing Joe Burrow and hoping that they throw for 3-4 touchdowns.
I like both of
Thoughts?
those approaches. I personally would probably like Barkley a little bit more. Although I don't hate running backs as a whole on this slate in terms of like some of the guys you can get, but I do like
Mm-hmm.
Barkley. There's some quarterbacks later that I do like that I think we can stack up, though. As much as I like Burrow this week, I do like Burrow this week a lot.
It goes. Yeah, go ahead.
He's just
Sorry.
not a bad play at all. Like I mean,
Yeah.
so that's
I
why.
was looking at just because I'm doing the FFPC playoff contest,
Hmm.
like trying to think through Cincinnati and that whole situation. Since the Ravens have gotten Roquan Smith, I believe they've only let up over 20 points once.
Hmm.
So definitely, and they want to run the football. Game's going to be slow, and obviously, it's the Bengals. They can put up points in a hurry,
Yeah,
but definitely a little bit of a concern there. In my respect.
yeah, I can see that as well. We did a FFPC yesterday. What we did for that, if people want to go watch that, we went and we built a bracket first.
Yeah.
And we based everything off that bracket, of course. And we had an Eagles Bengals Super Bowl. And because of that, we went Joe Burrow as our quarterback. And our real unique take was we took the Bills defense.
Mm.
So that allowed us to get chalky at a lot of the spots because Burrow's going to be pretty unique. The Bills defense is going to be pretty unique. And it allowed us to take guys like Justin Jefferson, who are going to be like stone cold chalk and feel good about it because the amount of people that are going to have Bills D is limited. The amount of people that are going to have Burrow is relatively limited. A lot of people are going to go chase in that spot probably.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a fun watch. It was a fun build. We thought we were going to be done in like 45 minutes, and that stream is about 2 hours long. So
Yep. I got
uh,
through about half of it, and I haven't had the chance to go back and finish the second half. So I got through the bracket and haven't even listened to your breakdown of who you guys actually choose.
yeah, it's a good watch on the breakdown, but we go through a lot of stuff, and that I did like building that FFPC team. After doing it yesterday, I'm like, I think I'm going to do a little bit more of those next year. So we're back on the clock. Where would you be looking here?
Here, I like to get a little bit. I like to get leverage off of the early round picks. So with who's available, I'd actually trying to be grab Debo,
Mhm.
just because it's a play that McCaffrey, who's a top 2-3 pick, is going to suck.
What are your thoughts
Thoughts?
on Kirk and Lawrence later?
Well, we missed out, but
Uh,
we can do that. We can do that. We grabbed Godwin because we ran out of time. Sorry, my clock is not up to date, which is why the timer is terrible.
let's see.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I'm
now,
fine with Kirk.
Well, if you want to grab Debo now, that's fine, and then that gives us quarterback flexibility later in the
Yeah.
draft, I would say.
Well, if we grab Debo here, we're stuck to tight end quarterback next 2 picks.
Which I think is fine.
Okay. Team so far, we took Diggs at 6, Saquon at 7. The 3-4 turn was Godwin because of an auto draft, and then Debo. And I don't even hate Chris Godwin. We just need him to grab the touchdowns. I mean, he's pretty much a lock for 10 to 12 targets.
Yeah, I would say that like it's a decent auto pick. Yeah, I like some of the quarterbacks later in this week because I think Herbert and Lawrence both have decent upside. Herbert's upside goes down slightly because of the Mike Williams news, of course. We would much rather see Mike Williams in there. I'm smashing Lawrence tomorrow on a double spy at the moment. Like, it just, to me, he's the best quarterback play for multiple reasons. And I don't even hate playing the defense against them tomorrow because if I think he's the best play, maybe he's behind a little bit throughout the game, throws a pick 6 or something like that, has to come back.
So are you playing only the 2-game slate? Or are you playing the 3-game slate? Because I
I'm
know
playing
DK did
both.
it in a weird way.
Yeah, I don't like the way DK did it. I wanted to play 2 5-game slates. I was hoping there was 2 decent double spies for DK, but the honestly the single entry options suck for like the 5-game slate. So I'm playing a double spy tomorrow and I'm playing a double spy on Sunday right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which not ideal.
I get that. And well, going off, so with Lawrence, obviously he can do it on his legs. He doesn't really need to do. He doesn't need to do it through the air. But with how porous the Chargers defense is, especially in the secondary, like that, he might throw for 300 and could run instead of Etienne in the red zone, which I know you hate Etienne, but
I like him. So I hated him for best ball. I didn't like him for best ball at all. And he was like DeAndre Swift for me. The same idea. Like I didn't like him season long, but there are weeks that I think he's a top 3 play. And I love ETN this week. Like he's one of my favorite plays of the week, but I just didn't like him for the course of the season. Like he's very, as much as I like him this week too, I'm still nervous because we do see his touchdowns get vultures sometimes by like Jamal Agnew and others. I think Snoop Connor even got one.
Had a couple. Yep.
Yeah, like so, like that stuff worries me a bit, but I do like ETN a lot this week. He's a smash.
Any interest in Daniel Jones with the Saquon, with Saquon, or would you rather just try and hope Saquon runs it in and take Trevor Lawrence unstacked?
I don't hate Daniel Jones based on the rushing upside. I guess like it's Daniel Jones, Brady, or Purdy, right? Why don't you start Daniel Jones just so we don't miss our pick and we can talk through it until then? Is there one that you prefer?
I was going to say Trevor Lawrence unstacked.
Or you can do Lawrence Ingram if he's not there, right?
Ingram's not there. I already looked.
All right. So I'm fine with this. I'm even fine with making it a little interesting and getting Bellinger and just having three giants here.
Double stack. Yeah. Hopefully Saquon puts up 100 and a touchdown. Then you get Daniel Jones throwing a touchdown to Bellinger. Tight ends don't really score this on this slate.
Right. So I don't hate doing that.
I mean, I think it's an interesting way. I haven't personally built that way. I think it's interesting just because like the tight end slate is pretty gross other than Kittle. And with Debo back, there's not necessarily a for sure thing that Kittle's going to continue to get these 30, 40-yard touchdowns. So
right.
They're going to be run heavy. The game's going to be gross. It's going to be raining. I think Bellinger's probably a good play at, touchdown or bust.
So we got a flex position left, right?
Nope, we're done.
Oh, are we done? Okay.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we got 3 wide receivers. That's right. Yep. No, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. That's a decent team. Do you want to fire one more of these since we kind of messed up a little bit, and then we'll jump right into the gauntlet?
Yeah. Let me see if I can fix my clock settings real quick.
I see Johnny Football's in the chat. What's going on, man? Thanks for being here. Fire. And one more of these. We'll make sure that we don't auto pick again. It's happened before. It'll happen again in the future. But, it is what it is. So if you want to jump in with us, jump in right now. If these battle royals are filling quick, it looks like there's 2 spots left. You can jump in. I'm going to try to see if I can. I got to fix this underdog situation. See if I can figure out.
I am resyncing my time so that things will be all set. Should be all set. So let me just refresh.
Nice. Yeah, I'll look at my settings later to see. I mean, my settings are showing my location. They are showing Bridgewater, Massachusetts, so it's interesting. Very interesting stuff.
My only thought would be if you've used your computer in other locations and it hasn't hit that update. Other than that, I mean, you could email support on Underdog side and see what the heck is happening.
I definitely think it's on my side. I don't think this is on Underdog side, so I'll have to figure it out. So we get a little bit better of a spot this time. We get the 4 spot rather than the 6. Is there a spot you've liked in these particular ones better than others?
No, I think the first 2 rounds are pretty stacked. I'm cool kind of building teams throughout. Obviously, it's nice to have Christian McCaffrey, so getting that 1 or 2 hole is fun because I think he's by far the best player on the slate.
What's funny is I like McCaffrey a lot for the Battle Royale.
Mm-hmm.
I have not taken him in the Gauntlet 2 at all from the 2nd pick overall.
Really?
Yeah.
McCaffrey's my highest owned player in all of playoff best ball at 40%.
That's fair. I mean, I wish I had played more earlier just to get him more.
Yeah.
But
he's impossible to get now.
Yeah. Like I said, he's going number 2 overall in the playoff drafts. All right, we are on the clock.
Jefferson or Chase?
Do you want to go Chase with Burrow, or do you want to grab Jefferson as a one-off and see what comes back around?
No, I'm fine going Chase. I think Chase against Baltimore is safer. Jefferson's kind of been up and down, and even though he went off against the Giants, there's just, for whatever reason, they find ways to not get the man involved. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I think Chase. I mean, I still think Diggs has the outcome of being the highest scoring player on the slate, but I think it's the same as Chase, right? We're just talking about absolute great players that have the best upside of anyone. It's flip a coin. Who do you want? It's going to be like that for both of them most of their careers, to be honest. So,
and honestly, with this Mike Allen news, I actually think Keenan kind of goes up into that tier just because the man's going to get at least 10 targets, probably 10 receptions, close to 100 yards. Burrow smash, right?
Yeah, we have to stack it. Definitely fine with that. Get the quarterback, be done with that, and then I have ideas of where I would like to go. Maybe we don't get there, but there's stuff I would like to see as we come back around on this. And we'll hop right into the Gauntlet draft, and then we'll let everybody enjoy the rest of their Friday the 13th.
That's how we like to do it, quick and easy.
I'm actually going out tonight, so wish me luck.
I wish you luck. Where are you going? Are you going into Boston or?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's going to be a low-key outing for my birthday with some friends. We're going to, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Barrett's Ale House.
I am not.
So there's a lot of them around the South Shore. There's one in West Bridgewater. That's a decent little spot. Has a little arcade in it still, hopefully, maybe.
Cool.
Gigantic bar. It'll be a good night.
Nice.
Recommend hitting it at some point.
Happy birthday. I typically stay to the North Shore just because that's where I'm from. But
right. Looks like Chris G's familiar with Barrett's.
You want to grab Mixon and just stack up the Bengals?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with a mixing stack
I
on.
mean, otherwise we can think about Tyreek. Andrews is fun because that's
Do
the back
you
end of the stack.
do you not like Dalvin?
I do like Dalvin. Would you prefer Dalvin?
Either or, your pick. Dealer's choice.
Let's go Dalvin. I haven't gotten that yet. We'll see what happens on the comeback. I don't
Just
believe we
because
have
I
this.
think we can grab Hayden Hurst at some point on this team.
It's true. I did see T. Higgins did go, so we didn't get the Joe Burrow double,
That's
the
fine.
premium double, which I always tell everybody it's a trip. My best ever DFS win was a Burrow, Higgins, Chase stack last year. I won
Oh, yeah?
like $5,000, came in third, but they had like probably 4 points at halftime, and then they came out and just started going crazy. It's never easy, and it's a whirlwind with them
I think
because they just come out and score points and quick.
my best ever might have been Breeze double with Kamara and Michael Thomas. That feels right.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
So I'm eyeballing Christian Kirk here more than anybody.
Okay, I was
That's me.
gonna pitch Mark Andrews, but I have way too much Mark Andrews, so I probably should stop on that.
I don't hate. I mean, the Mark Andrews isn't bad because it's the bring back, right? If we want, but I don't think we need a bring back with the Bengals personally.
I totally agree with that. Baltimore's
Uh,
offense is going to be terrible.
I would like a bring back with Christian Kirk on the Chargers, but it's not imperative, if that makes sense. So if we see the right guy, I mean, the two guys we want are obviously already gone. But if we
So if we consider it, who are you considering, Everett premium, or are you considering Palmer more premium? Because I think Palmer's definitely, in my opinion, is the better play.
yeah, so we could do Palmer and hope that we also get we could still do the Burrow double with Hurst, right?
Yeah.
If we wanted to.
Let's see who's available.
And while you're doing
Just
that,
from a tight end standpoint.
just going to go back to the chat. Chris G is also knows Barrett's. Which one do you go to, Chris? Which one is your go-to Barrett's? Is it Abington, Bridgewater, West Bridgewater? I think there's one or two more as well. Get real local on this national platform.
Chris G's in Texas, man.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, then how does he know Barrett's?
I probably came up here and went to one, but I have no idea. He's a Texas man.
I did not know that. I mean, I assumed if you knew, you were very local.
Do you want to? Ooh, Tyreek Hill's still here. You want to just take Tyreek?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're gonna get Tyreek this late. Like, who cares about like what the plans are at that point? He's a slate breaking player that I don't need him to win. I just need him to put up fantasy points. And if it's going to be that late, they're going to try to scheme the ball into his hands at some point. So what are we looking at? Just tight end?
Go. We'll see what ground force is the only one that can go. He might grab Andrews. I don't know if he will. If he doesn't, and Andrews is still there, and then we'll have Hurst as a backup plan.
Yeah, I mean, if we get Andrews, this is like the squad.
And he grabs Hodgins.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta when you can grab Hodgins, you just gotta do it. All right, this team's pretty sick.
I actually really like Hodgins, but yes, it is sick. We need Dalvin on the ground against a very, or not really porous, but a Giants team that's defense that's relatively good. Dalvin's been my downfall in these because I've taken a lot of Dalvin, and obviously the weeks he just does not show up. But
Terrence,
if he shows up,
are you in this? Sorry, Terrence. What's your underdog screen name? Because Terrence is in this draft. Just so I know, just so I can be on the lookout in future drafts.
I think he's T-Bear.
All right, that makes sense. So is that it for this draft? We went full, right?
That is it. Yep, 6.
So
this team Burrow, is Cook, Chase. Sorry, let me bring it up real quick. Scroll to the bottom. Sorry. Burrow, Cook, Chase, Christian Kirk, Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews. Sweet team.
That's a pretty fun squad. I need to make sure I send you money for this one for when we win the entire thing. All right. So that was a fun team. Let's jump into this gauntlet draft. And I'm going to apologize in advance. I have been the bearer of the 5 or 6 pick quite frequently.
We get the one hole. We get the one
and
pick.
we get the one.
Influencer 101 for winning the Palm 2.
That's right. I think you have to go Josh Allen just because it's the only way to get your Josh Allen exposure. Like, there's not a better player in the draft based on where he could go, which is from the opening round to the Super Bowl. So for me, it's an easy Josh Allen pick, and then we kind of build off of there, see what we can build. And
I mean, when you grab Jalen, you're playing for the Bills to make the Super Bowl, so you're most likely trying to grab you're grabbing NFC teams off of it and just hoping. But what are you doing with the Bills' secondary pieces? Because obviously, doesn't seem like Crowder is going to be playing at all. I was trying to grab Crowder. McKenzie's now nursing a hamstring injury. Beasley's on the active roster.
Yep. I mean, I'm grabbing when I do get Josh Allen. I haven't been fortunate enough for the Diggs fall, which I don't think we're going to get lucky enough here just based on seeing some of the drafters in this room. Yep. So I make sure that I grab Gabe Davis on that 2-3 turn just based on pure upside alone of what he can do. And then it's a free-for-all. Do I want Knox? Do I want Singletary? Do I want Cook? I throw in some of those guys in there. Grab Beasley a little bit later. It also depends on who I'm trying to build with. Like as we see on this draft, it's going pretty standard right now. We go Allen, it goes CMC, it goes Mahomes. I can't imagine Hurts is not going to go next when it's a red badge in the 4 hole. Right.
Yeah, it's either he either goes here or next pick.
Right.
Like, do you have a lean on either of the Bills running backs? I know the snap counts have kind of been all over the place.
I mean, I usually have been a Singletary guy for the last few years, but I think Cook is a little different than everybody else that's come in, and I think they like him more than everyone else that's come in. So I want to lean Singletary because his style of play, hand in the dirt stuff, makes sense for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw it last year, but Cook, I don't want to say he's going to be like a special player, but I think he's going to fit the offense better in the long run. So maybe they just get him going.
So Jalen Hurts falls to 9 to the guy who originally said no to him.
Yeah, that's real strange. That's crazy.
A Burrow Kelsey team makes negative sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with you on Cook. I'm kind of trying to buy into the fact that the snap count's actually flipped. And Cook had a higher snap share than Singletary last week. I think they can use him in more ways. Like, he's a better pass catcher, and they drafted him in the 2nd round. I think they're going to start to highlight him moving forward.
Yeah, and I don't think they're scared to revert to Singletary because he's been there. I don't know how we don't go AJ Brown here.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, it just seems like an absolute smash.
The only thing would be if we grab CD and hope that they kind of make it through, or just grab Gabe Davis and stack Allen.
I think it's Davis because I'm real on the fence about them actually making it through this week, to be perfectly clear. I'm not 100% sure, and I'd just rather would have the stack. I would like to try to play that game, but where this draft is already weird, Gabe Davis could last to us easily, or he could be the freaking next pick based on Jalen Hurts going in the 2nd round. So I think we just want to grab one of the premium, quote unquote, premium pieces. He's not nearly the level of Diggs, but I think he's the next best guy, and then I think there's a massive drop off. So I like going
sense.
Allen Davis. there's plenty of Eagles pieces we can grab still, and we can still build upon some of these early round games with some of the Chargers and some of the, that Chargers Jaguars game, which I think might be the highest scoring game of the weekend. And there's some other Dallas pieces if you really like Dallas that we could go. But I think building this
Dallas
Buffalo
pieces
Eagles
go
team,
late.
right? So I do tend to like the way we're building this team. Josh Allen, AJ Brown feels real good. Get Gabe Davis. I mean, I'm sure. Not that AJ Brown doesn't fall sometimes, but that's a big fall for him to get him with Josh Allen. So
When I've been running these, I think he's falling more than we think. Because
Really?
I've seen him around this. Yeah, I've seen him in like the early third pretty frequently. His ADP doesn't show it, but he was going closer, I want to say, to the 1-2 turn. He was kind of always getting stacked with Hurts.
Yeah, I've been seeing the Hurts stack, so that's why I usually see him go like towards the upper part of the second round. Like whoever grabs Hurts usually grabs Brown, including myself, to be fair. Like it makes a ton of sense, right?
Yep. Let's see who's available.
There's
Brock Purdy, who everybody's freaking out about.
We might get CD. I know. But that running back run was pretty unprecedented too, that we just saw.
Singletary went relatively early. And I mean they're stacking Buffalo and Minnesota, so that makes sense. But everyone else, they're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, we see McCaffrey, Higgins, Eckler team.
Which I guess you're playing McCaffrey and then an AFC team, but I don't know.
Interesting.
You gotta build unique, right? You gotta build unique in these contests. So are we just gonna grab CD for the fall?
I'm down with grabbing CD. I don't see how we don't. Do you want to grab CD? Do you want to grab Miles Sanders?
I would grab both.
That's what I mean. Do you want to grab CD and Miles Sanders? As our
I guess the only other play would be, do we want to grab Tony Pollard, or do we want to just grab James Cook and play the 3-2-2-2 game or 4-2-2-2 game? Because at least we get a running back score this week and potentially hope that Miles falls.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that too.
Because I think I prefer Cook just because the snap shares of the Eagles are all over the place.
All right, let's do that. Because if we're going to try to get 4 Buffalo guys, right, and go 2-2 with Eagles and Dallas, there's still another player we can get for this week, which you're going to hate, but it is what it is. And that's...
And Miles Sanders goes 26 to a guy that has 2 running backs already. What the...
Gotta do it.
I love these drafts because it really makes me think about how early we are in the best ball field.
Yeah. But that guy helps us too, right? Because he's just like sabotaging other people's drafts like tremendously, and we're still building the way we want to build.
Yep.
So
I think I know who you're gonna say. And oh, never mind. All right, he's gone.
Yeah, he went. But I mean, that was the guy, right? But you have Pollard, who's banged up a little bit. We already grabbed CD. Well, he's viable. Oh, I didn't think Pollard would still be there.
Unless this guy takes his 4th running back.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I mean, I wouldn't either, but...
All right, let's start looking. Let's start planning, because I'm going to assume he's not watching. We could get Knox here for that next Buffalo piece. And then it's, if you want to go Pollard, I understand. The other RB that I'd be looking at to get the score of this week is ETN. Because I think you could get 2 weeks out of him. I think Jacksonville wins. So
I'm fine with that. I'm gonna grab Knox. We're gonna let the clock run out on Knox.
Yep.
I think ETN helps us advance. And if you play it this way, if they win 2 games, they don't play Buffalo until the AFC Championship game. So there's a chance you get multiple scores out of him.
Mhm.
I'm fine taking him because I think the Chargers definitely hurt with Mike Williams.
Yep.
And we'll just kind of let's see what happens with Pollard. I'm fine grabbing the later pass options. Like Schultz is still available, Gallup's still available.
Yep.
So still gives us outs.
Yeah, I
And then
think
we
we
just
still have
grab
outs for
like
Dallas.
probably done with 3 Bills, right? Or no, we have 4 Bills.
We have 4 Bills, which is perfect, honestly. I don't think we need any more. I think we have the 4 Bills. I mean, obviously we want Diggs, but I think we have the 4 Bills if you don't have Diggs that you want. I guess the running backs are kind of interchangeable to me, one or the other. But if you can do it with Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, I like that. I think we can still get. There's an Eagle I like late for our second Eagle. We can get a second Cowboy, and that kind of gives us like an anywhere piece that we can grab, right? Like if we want a third of each, that makes sense. Fine. If there's a one-off that we like, also fine, in my opinion.
I was even going to say, do we play Eagles with 1 and just take AJ Brown, or you could do the same thing with Dallas, and then you stack elsewhere. So try and grab a lower owned team like the Giants or someone that could contribute this week rather than sacrificing another potential 0.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that if it's the right player, but I do want it to be so. Like, I don't think the Giants really have a big shot of advancing this week. Personally,
I disagree with that.
I know.
I think
some
they got
people
the
do.
absolute perfect matchup in the Vikings.
I think they're
Like
going to get
the
waxed.
only team that they could have that they could beat is the Vikings.
I think that the Vikings are frauds, but I do think they're going to wax the Giants this week.
Okay.
I mean, that was one of my 2 favorite bets of the week was Vikings -3. The other is Seattle +10.
Well, that's just 10 points. I think anyone's going to. I would take the 10 points just because they can back end it.
Yeah, divisional game, like 3rd divisional game of the season. Like, I'm not saying Seattle's going to win, but +10 in the under feels real nice in that game. Personally, I crushed that when I rode down to Rhode Island yesterday to play some bets, which is
Schultz is still available. I think I'd rather see who's available for Philadelphia. There's really no one unless you like Quez Watkins.
I like Quez in the 10th personally. Like that's where I've been grabbing Quez. I do like Schultz. He would be our second. Do you like Schultz or do you like Gallup?
I prefer Schultz to Gallup.
All right, let's grab Schultz
personally.
Right,
and then we're playing probably a 1 week guy, right?
I would say so. Or do you want to just grab a Kansas City?
You like Metcalf? Hardman, MVS.
Would be MVS. Just
the hard part is we're playing the. Hold on.
Pick somebody quick, so because you're about to lose.
We're taking Waddle just because I ran out of time. Or we're gonna take Evan Ingram.
All right,
because we're making a bet on Etienne, so let's play that they're getting 2 games. He's the leading pass catcher.
That's fair.
My thing with the Chiefs is we're playing them to lose after 1 game, so we're not necessarily playing for that, but that would be optimal for us to advance.
Well, I don't think we're playing for them to lose. We're playing for them to get at least 2 games if we take them, because they would play them in because you think Jacksonville. I gotcha.
Yep.
No, that's fair. That's a fair point.
Because any of those teams, we're trying to get them to basically be dead, and you're gonna have Chiefs on so many teams. So this is at least unique where Jacksonville makes the AFC Championship game.
My counter to that would be we're playing Jacksonville for 2 games, and we could play the Chiefs for 2 games. Because if we say the Chiefs are going to win, right, the Jacksonville game, they're still going to play in the AFC Championship game. So you would get 2 games out of them there. So that would be my one counter. I mean, clearly we would rather have Jacksonville for 3 weeks with no Chiefs, but I think you could take a one-off Chief just in case, and I think you're fine just getting 2 games. Because when I play Jacksonville, it's for 2 games.
Yeah,
because I do think
my only thing with that is their secondary pieces are so thin as it is because of how much they rotate. Like you're basically playing a Russian roulette. At
They
least we know
it's
with
their
Evan Ingram he's
volume.
going to be involved.
It's
Yeah,
their volume. It's not a rotational because MVS and Juju are on the field for most of the snaps right now. My concern would be them getting Tony more up to speed and him eating into somebody. One of those two pieces. That would be more my
yep.
concern. But and Hardman coming back is a bit of a concern, maybe. I don't know how much though, because they've been fine keeping him off the field so that he's 110%. So our last pick is Quez Watkins at the moment, which I like. I mean, when I have Jalen Hurts and I'm like not getting a ton of Eagles, well, how do you not just grab Quez in the 10th round? Like he just
It's either Quez or it has to be like Kenny Gainwell, like hoping
yeah.
that he regains the full-time pass work.
Yeah. I
Although
mean
if the Giants win, like Boston Scott's the guy you need in the divisional round.
it's fair. Giant killer. But Quez is like he's like one of those guys that if he just has one game, it's gonna that gives you points. It's 3 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown because he housed an 80-yarder or something like that. So
Yep.
your last pick, I'm more than fine with it being Quez Watkins. So
Yep.
it looks
I'm
like
just
we got
taking
him.
a gander.
Yep.
Yeah, he's here. So making sure we weren't missing anything stupid.
So this team is actually like the way to build a in my opinion, the way to build a team. We have our Super Bowl team for sure with Buffalo, right? We have 4 Buffalo Bills. We have Josh Allen. We have James Cook. We have Gabe Davis, and we have Dawson Knox. And then we built 2 NFC teams in with CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz as our Dallas Cowboys. But we also have AJ Brown and Quez Watkins as Philadelphia Eagles. So we can play full rosters in the Super Bowl with both of those combinations. And then we have some one-offs that we think are going to make through to the next week in Jacksonville Jaguars, which is Travis Etienne and Evan Ingram. We don't want to lose them. If we do lose them, it's kind of fine as long as we don't lose Dallas as well, which I think we're losing Dallas, but that's neither here nor there. That's not how we built this team. We built them with them advancing. So I actually really, really like this team that we built out of the one hole. I don't really know what we could have done different with the way things fell. What are your thoughts on this roster?
I mean, we definitely felt like we had to go in a specific way because of the way values fell, right? Like I don't think CD ever falls to the end of the 4th round. Like that just kind of seemed crazy. So we felt like our hands were kind of tied. The only thing that I'll say is it's going to be tough for this team to advance after or in the championship game because unless if Dallas wins this week, they're playing the Eagles most likely next week. So we're automatically losing some of our team, especially on the NFC side. And then we basically need the Jaguars to advance, or else we're really thin at running back because all we have is James Cook and Etienne.
Yeah,
So
I think that might.
My only thing would be probably grab a different running back in round 10, but I don't really know where we'd go.
Yeah, I mean that would be tough. I would say that the only other thing we could have done different to avoid that a little bit is if we did go like MVS over Evan Ingram, but I think we're really splitting hairs at that point. That would just be like having another body on the field in the AFC Championship game. And again, it's that: do we want 3 games out of Evan Ingram, or do we want to cap them both at 2 and hope that we get the extra week from the Chiefs?
Yep. And to raise its point, I do understand that we're just we're playing the game that the Vikings are going to win. Like, yeah, I understand if both Dallas and the Giants win, then the Giants won't play the Eagles. We're not playing that game.
Yeah. So this was fun. We were able to knock out a battle royal, another battle royal, and we got one of these gauntlets in. What's your plan? Are you firing any more of these later, or are you kind of
I think
relaxing?
I'm done with the playoff best ball drafts. I'll probably hammer some more of the battle royales, just because my goal is to try and get 50 in this week. But mostly what I'm going to be doing is building on FFPC. I have 3 $200 lineups to build gotta think my way through those things.
Cool. I am going to be firing one more Gauntlet since I've deposited the money for it already. So why not? We'll fire one
Might
more
as well.
Gauntlet. I don't know if it'll be tonight. It might be in the morning. I'll probably fire it tonight. But yeah, so you'll see me in the streets one more time. I think that'll put me at 10 teams on my end. But that's going to do it for us today at Spike Week. Silas, do you have any parting words about this weekend? Any bold predictions? Doesn't have to be best ball related. It can be playoff related that you think is going to happen.
Isaiah Hodgins is going to be on the winning lineup in the Battle Royale contest.
Ooh, so I should be looking at playing him on Sunday. When I finalize my double spy over here.
Yes.
I started flirting with it a little bit last night. I was like trying to jam Chase, Jefferson, and Diggs in on a team. So maybe Hodgins will be my flex, or maybe I don't do that.
He's 4,100 on DK, so he's definitely a salary reliever.
Yeah, so that might be the play, but we'll see. We'll see how I want to do it because I wanted to do it with Josh Allen and I couldn't quite make it work, but I also looked at it for 4 seconds last night. I just wanted to get my shell in there. For me, I think the Jaguars win, which isn't a huge hot take. The spread's very small. I think the Seahawks cover. I think that the 10-point spread for that divisional game, I understand that the 49ers are a really good team, but it is a divisional playoff game, and there might be some weather elements there. And just playing a team 3 times in 1 year is always hard, no matter how good you are or how bad you are. It just, you become familiar with the team so much that I think 10 points is a bit too much. So I think the one way, I think if you are betting Seattle, to bet the under, because you're just saying that it's going to be kind of a tough fight it out game.
Yep.
And what else do I like? I think Minnesota is going to destroy New York, much to your chagrin.
Hey, no, that's fine, because then Isaiah Hodgins gets a lot of garbage time. We're good.
There you go. Perfect. And I think Tampa beats Dallas this weekend, to be perfectly honest. I think we've talked about Minnesota being frauds all year. I think Dallas are gigantic frauds. And I think they continue to prove it. So those are kind of my leans for a lot of the weekend. I mean, obviously we all think that Cincinnati is going to win. I think Cincinnati wins and covers. I think Buffalo wins and covers. And I like the over on that game too, just because I think Buffalo is going to put up 35 or more on their own this weekend. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, to be perfectly honest, just based on the way everything goes. But for myself, for Silas Jackson, good luck this weekend. And if one of us doesn't win one of these tournaments, then I guess we aren't too upset if you do.